Guys, as good as this car is, the Kia EV3 is actually a pretty good car. There is a bit of a problem here because Kia have released this vehicle and the price on the same day that one of their rivals released the price of their vehicle, which is going to be a bit of an issue for Kia. In fact, it's going to be a big issue. But hey, you know what? Let's focus on the EV3, the Kia EV3. What are the details? Actually, it's got a very long range. If you need a lot of range, this could be the car for you. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. Great to have you with us. There's really no reason now. If you're saying, you know what, I need a car that can do lots of country driving, a lot of miles, this could be a good option for you. I mean, just over 600 kilometers of range. It's here now, relatively affordable. Would I get it instead of my car, which has 570 kilometers of range and 300 kilowatt charging? No, I wouldn't. I'd still stick with the Xpeng G6. But it's still worth pointing out that there's not a whole lot of electric cars you can currently buy that are within the realms of affordability and aren't Porsches with this kind of range. Kia have just revealed the EV3, and it's a little confusing because there's technically 4 different variants, which for me is too many. I'm looking at the 4 variants. I'm thinking, which one would I buy? I don't know. There's too many choices for me. I prefer when car companies come out with 2 models like BYD and Geely. But anyhow, there's 4 variants. The standard range variant is, of course, the cheapest. It gets a lithium iron phosphate battery. The long range version has an NMC lithium battery. So in China, they call that a ternary battery. Does that mean that one is better than the other? Well, a lot of people prefer lithium iron phosphate, but NMC batteries do have still a little bit higher energy density. And that's the reason, or one of the reasons that long range version is going to get over 600 kilometers of range. But I should point out, only one of the 4 models actually gets over 600 kilometers of range. The rest of them do not. And there's a good reason for that. It's wheel sizes. It comes back down to putting bigger wheels on, lowers the range of your electric car. The EV3, 4 model grades, starts at $47,600 here in Australia. Americans, to give you some context, that's about just under 30,000 US dollars. However, there is 4 versions. The standard range front wheel drive, 47,600 Australian dollars. The long range front wheel drive, $53,315. The Earth long range front wheel drive, $58,600. And the most expensive, this is to be honest, the one that I'd personally want, the GT line long range front wheel drive with $63,950 for that version. So 4 versions. The base model comes with a lithium iron phosphate battery. The other 3 versions above it, they all come with an NMC battery pack, and it's quite a big battery for the size of this car. Very exclusive event here in Newcastle. Saturday, the 15th of March from 3 to 5 p.m. I'll be speaking here with just a couple of other speakers. Very small event. So you can meet me in person. You can actually have a look at my EV as well, the Xpeng G6. Test that out. I'll put a link in the description below to the event. I believe that the tickets will probably sell out very, very quickly. So if you're from Sydney, from Brisbane, from Newcastle, make sure you click on that link as quickly as possible to get in. I think there's only around 30 tickets left at this point in time. I'll put that link in the description and I'll see you there. This car is actually built on Kia's eGMP platform, which is an 800 volt platform, but Kia have kind of retrofitted it and made this a 400 volt platform to make it more affordable to build. Standard across the entire range, you get screens that I personally aren't a fan of. I believe that they are more style over substance. And I criticize these kinds of screens in all cars because I don't think they're that practical. And I'll tell you why in a minute. Dual 12.3 inch screens, which do look good. It also gets LED headlights, a suite of advanced safety technology, and that includes automatic lane change technology. I don't like these screens because when you're trying to navigate using a map, it means that the actual map space it's quite narrow. Remember when with the map, right, it's pointing upwards. You don't look at a map and look at it going sideways. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. So that means having a screen that's taller is better than having a screen that's wider. And these 12.3 inch screens, to be honest, you don't get a huge amount of map with that. It's a 12.3 inch screen in terms of horizontally, but the actual height of the screen is probably closer to maybe 7 or 8 inches. Not a whole lot better than my honest opinion than a mobile phone, a large mobile phone. It's really not that much better because with a mobile phone, you can change the angle. So that's my recommendation. If you're doing a lot of driving, I found when I've done a lot of driving with cars with these horizontal screens, I get quite frustrated because I can't see the maps all that well. Anyway, more expensive model grades have a power tailgate, meaning the base model does not get an electric tailgate. The base model does not get vinyl or fake leather seats. It has fabric seats. For me, that would be a no-go. I wouldn't go the fabric seats, especially having kids. You spill stuff on them, you can never get it out. Anyhow, the entry level, let's get to the real part of the story here. The entry level battery is a 58.3 kilowatt hour lithium iron phosphate battery. It comes connected to the 150 kilowatt, 283 newton meter front mounted electric motor. Very similar motor to what's being used in the Geely EX5 and the BYD 803. Those are a bit more powerful, but this is not much different. That model has a range of 436 kilometers WLTP. So a 58 kilowatt hour battery, meaning the battery pack is a bit smaller than the battery in Geely's EX5. The Geely EX5 is a bigger car, it's cheaper, and gets a bigger battery pack and faster charging. So it's worth keeping that in mind. Now, when you step up to the next model up in the price range, the second model up, it's called the Air Long Range, and it has a driving range of 604 kilometers. It gets an 81.4 kilowatt hour battery. All three models above the base model get the same 81.4 kilowatt hour battery. It's an NMC battery that is made by LG Chem. A few people online have expressed their criticism of the fact that Kia is still continuing to use LG Chem batteries because, they have had a lot of recalls for that type of battery. They have improved lately though, so it should be fine, should be. The Earth and GT line's larger wheels, the Earth and the GT line are the top model and the second from the top model. They mean, because of those bigger wheels, which go from 17-inch wheels to 19-inch wheels, range falls by 40 kilometers down to 563 kilometers. So you're paying more and you get 40 kilometers less range. If I was Kia, I'd put the 17 inches I'd offer it as an option. I'd say, you know what? You want to be the most expensive premium model, you want all those features and everything else, we'll give you the option of getting those smaller wheels so you can get the extra range. Because to me, that would be what I'd be after. Debuting on the new EV3 is a new iPedal 3.0 system that allows you to vary the strength of the electric motor's regen braking without deactivating the one pedal setting. That's quite an interesting feature. I haven't seen reviews on that yet, but it sounds good. Boot space is actually really good for this size of car. It's 460 litres behind the rear seats. This is not a very big car, and it does have a frunk, a very tiny frunk, 25 litre frunk. But I mean, if you want to, somewhere to store your gold bars, that might be the place to do it. 8 exterior colors are available across the lineup. So getting back to those models, the base model, $47,600, comes with that lithium iron phosphate battery, a 58 kilowatt hour battery. The Air Long Range front wheel drive, second model up, the Air Earth long range front wheel drive, and the GT line long range front wheel drive all get that bigger NMC battery, much bigger, about 82 kilowatt hour size battery. It's going to give you quite a bit of range, between 560 kilometers to 604 kilometers of range. Now, looking at the extra things you get with those models, the EV3 Air Long Range. So this is the second model up from the base model. You get nothing. It's exactly the same as the standard range. It just gives you the bigger battery. That's the only difference. So that means you are paying about $5,700 for the bigger battery. So $5,700 for a battery that gives you an extra 20 kilowatt. And to be honest, it's also going to give you a lot more range. So yeah, is it worth paying $5,700 to get that extra range? Well, it depends on what you need, doesn't it? Now, if you get the Earth Long Range, so the next model up, for your extra $5,300, you get these features. The question is it worth $5,300? You get 19-inch alloy wheels, a power-operated tailgate, and synthetic leather look seat upholstery. That's it. Going from basically fabric seats to synthetic leather look. So, the seats that are in pretty much all electric cars. Basically, to be honest, you're really paying an extra $5,500 for 19-inch wheels and a power-operated tailgate. Doesn't seem like it's worth paying the extra money to me. But if you go to the most expensive version of this car, which is about $16,000 more expensive than the base model, then you do get some extra features, which include the bigger wheels, 19-inch GT line alloy wheels, GT line exterior styling pack. I wouldn't want to be paying extra for that, but anyhow, a heads-up display, that's nice. 8-speaker Harman Kardon sound system, sunroof, medium gray, dark shade synthetic leather look upholstery, so not real leather. It comes with white accents and a GT line 3-spoke steering wheel. Now, realistically, you're paying an extra, what, 5 or 6,000 over that model below it to get a styling changes, really not much styling changes, heads-up display, 8-speaker Harman Kardon sound system, and a sunroof. So is it worth paying that extra? I don't think that it is. Now, I should point out, guys, I personally have for me, the cloth seats thing, and for a lot of parents who see their kids rub their hands on their seats all the time, very common to see your kids do that. They rub their hands on the seats, sometimes rub snot on the seats. All kinds of stuff goes on the seats when you've got kids, girls, boys, whatever, it doesn't matter. You've got fabric seats, you get sweat in the seats, you get skin rubs off you all the time in the seats. You get drinks spilt in the seats. I think for that reason that the fabric seats are a bad idea for families. But if you're a single person, if you're a couple, probably be fine for you. I do think it's a bit weird that I have fabric seats. It kind of feels like the 1990s to me. But anyhow, I think this car is a good car. It's a really nice car. And compared to existing Kia electric cars, it's well priced, no question. But compared to its rivals, it's not well priced. I mean, this is not a big car. It's 4.3 meters long. That means it's about the same size as the Volvo EX30. The Zeekr X, it's about the same price as the Zeekr X, really, when you think about it. The Zeekr X is a bit bigger, and it's definitely much more luxurious. It gets a lot of added luxury features over this car. Really, that's who Kia has priced this car to compete with. If you forget about the base model, the LFP base model, then really these three models, right? These three longer range models, they all have, they've got a bit more range. They've got about 10% more range than the Zeekr X. But other than that, they compete on price. Very similar pricing. The Zeekr X is around $56,000, but it is definitely a more premium car. Now, if you want to go and look at the base model of this car for $47,000, that competes clearly with the Geely EX5 and the BYD Atto 3. Now, the Geely EX5 price was just revealed today. It starts at $40,000, right? It's much, much cheaper. It's a much bigger car. It's 4.6 meters long versus this car, which is 4.3 meters long. That's actually quite a big difference, meaning it's in a completely different size category of car according to government regulations. So realistically, for your extra $7,000, you're only getting a Kia badge. I mean, other than that, the Geely EX5 is a much better value car. It doesn't have cloth seats. It's got faster charging. It's got a better battery. Geely's EX5 short blade battery, the Aegis short blade battery, is one of the best batteries you can buy in the world. It's one of the most advanced battery packs. And it has a higher level of standard features for $7,000 less money. I think that Kia is going to struggle to sell these cars to informed buyers. Now, you guys are obviously informed buyers. You watch reviews. You're an informed buyer. Realistically, if you're looking at the Kia EV3 and you're looking at the Geely EX5, and you can compare the data, the specs, and everything else, I'd say most of the time you're not going to buy the Kia. Most people would just buy the Kia if they're a Kia fan. So I think the long-range version of this car could be the spot, right? The Kia EV3 Air long range. So that car starts at $53,000, but it gets the 600 kilometers of range. In my opinion, that's the real sweet spot here. But the only issue for me is those fabric seats. I'm not into those. Other than that, that's actually not a bad deal. Guys, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. Bye-bye.